Frank, that would make an awful wall frames, do you know what I mean? You'd be able to retire off me. I have a lot of stuff to do, you know, and cracked stuff and all that.
Hello, hiya. Great send off today, huh? Did a great send off today. Yeah. Hiya, David.
I'm beginning to really enjoy this, you know, this So it's a huge honour for me. Very happily this. I'm Honorary Secretary of the United Arts Club, and it's a huge honour for me to introduce Barry Devlin, who is going to launch the wonderful Mary Louise's exhibition, which is stunning, but Barry will tell us more about that. Now, I just want to say, we won't go back, but in the 70s, in the first manifestation of horselips, I was in, oh my goodness, I wasn't a groupie, Barry, I couldn't afford to be that, but I was a major fan. I mean, prior to horselips, what did we have? We had the show bands covering somebody else's songs. We had so little that was original, we had nothing Irish. It was just magical and just magic. And Barry has gone on. I mean, he's an endless talent. He can write, he can direct, he can sing, he can play.
Juggle?
Juggle.
And he cooks.
Yes. And the other bit that is finding it very difficult, I was thinking to myself, would I recognise him? And do you know what? Very recognisable. Do you know what I mean? So I think that artistic life gives people years on us that slaved in the offices and slaved around. But here is Barry Devlin.
Very hard to follow an introduction like that. If you're really attentive and pay lots of attention, I promise not to sing. But if there's any restiveness among the audience, I might launch into someone you really, really wouldn't like that. So I'm delighted to be here tonight. I'm reading from a prepared text. And Mary Louise, I was able to understand your handwriting very, very, very well. This is the most fulsome praise. You really write well about it. Anyway, I'm delighted to have been asked and to say a few words at the opening of an exhibition by an artist I hugely admire. So when I talked to Mary Louise about this, I was surprised at how the conversation started. You don't remember it? No, it's as well. It started with the P word, pandemic. For Mary Louise, as for many of us, the pandemic had the effect of giving her time to walk, time to take stock, time to look at things in a different way. But it also had two major effects on her approach to what she does. First, it gave her a new subject, a new thing to tackle. And second, it convinced her it was time to change the way she tackled that subject. So, the new subject. I've always loved Mary Louise's people, her Mervyn Peake faces, her unique take on the human condition. Here's the thing though, human contact, full on, face to face, becomes problematical in lockdown. But it didn't vanish entirely. Lockdown gave Mary Louise a contact with the human that was a step removed in one way and strangely warm, close, enigmatic in another. In her walks, she found things, and the clue is in the title of this exhibition, hidden in plain sight. Human traces, half glimpsed, wholly enigmatic, peeping out at her. In hedgerows, along lanes, deep in woods, she found hidden signs of a buried humanity, and she began to draw them. You'll have seen what she drew as you explored this wonderful collection. A citron poking its nose out of a spinney, a caravan half hidden in what Browning would have called brushwood sheaf, a pair of suitcases halfway to reverting to nature. They fit into their location, all these things. The citron, for example, like the bicycle in The Third Policeman, that car has become part undergrowth, part deux chevaux. It's a fascinating take that has, as you can see, worked wonderfully well. So, matching her new subject, a new way to tackle it, a technique for Marie-Louise, a new way to tackle it, a technique called dry point. It was fascinating to me to hear how it works, but the rationale for Marie-Louise in adopting it was a desire to, forgive the phrase, clean up her act. She wanted to use less toxic materials making her prints. In the past, Marie-Louise's preferred method of printmaking was to etch with nitric acid onto mild steel plate. There are many advantages to using this technique, not the least of them being that the steel imparts plate tone, giving the printed image a textured feel. Etching is also a good deal quicker, but nitric acid. There are downsides in switching to dry point. It requires a lot more ink, but mainly it requires a lot more elbow grease from Marie-Louise as she incises her line using a hard point and no acid, which is why it's called dry point. Much simplified, the process works like this. Marie-Louise makes a big drawing using liquid graphite. You can see some of them in the next room. Then lays a clear acetate sheet on top of the drawing and incises over it, applying ink, a lot of ink, to the scratched surface, and then placing a dampened sheet of printing paper onto the freshly inked plate. The plate and paper are run through the press, and 3 tons of pressure transfers the ink onto the paper. I think that's incredibly impressive. The image that comes out the other side is essentially the same in size and composition, but it's the reverse of the original drawing, as you can see. It's like a photo negative in reverse, and the effect is both dark and dazzling. And you can see both sets, the original and unique drawings in the back room, and the prints with the reversed image, dark, enigmatic, and a wee bit edgy out here. Both sets have their own sense of themselves. Both sets are splendid. Both sets are eminently affordable. And if you choose to buy, you'll be in very good company. 2 prints from the series were recently selected for the annual exhibitions at the Royal Hibernian Academy and the Royal Academy. And the National Gallery of Ireland have also acquired Lottie, an earlier work for the National Collection. So, you enjoy. Bye. Thank you.
Well done, Mary.
Marie-Louise is going to speak to us. So.
I just want to thank Barry. It's brilliant. And, the show is dedicated to Jackie Stanley, who is my tutor in art school and a very good friend. Thanks, everyone.